I'm just going to record it on my own computer. So don't worry, I'm not sharing this with anybody. If you want to put it on speaker view, if you don't already have it, I'm going to go ahead and highlight myself. Hopefully that will show up for you. So when we get to the map, it's, it's right there and you can see. I do a lot of verbal cueing, so it shouldn't be too hard for you to follow. But again, just kind of glance at the screen, come back to it whenever you need to. So again, my name is Shay Molendijk. I'm the director of Yoga Fit for Warriors, have been for 10 years. I'm also the director of our educational programming. Yoga Fit has really expanded. It's been around since 1994. It started out as really kind of a basic gym yoga, and now we are a yoga therapy school. So a lot can happen in 25 years of doing yoga and really advancing it in so many different areas, not just in the physical plane, because you're going to hit a dead end on that. You can only so much doing so much physical stuff with the body and choreography. It can only get so fancy. But where it's really growing and expanding, I mean, rocket ship like, is in the ability to help heal our physiology and our nervous system, our brain. I would say all the systems, the biology that we call us. So, and that's because science has really proven that to be. So now we have things like trauma-informed yoga. Now we have things like yoga therapy and helping people really with specific conditions, with chronic pain, with PTSD, with things like hypertension, even diabetes. I mean, it can affect because it is systemic in its effect, to include helping the mind. All right, so this is going to be one of my sort of just standard trauma-informed flows. That doesn't mean I'm saying you have trauma. I really do believe all yoga should be trauma-informed. That's just my belief of it, because trauma-informed is backed by science and just so shows trauma-informed has the greatest efficacy on impacting our nervous system. There it is. And if you can change the nervous system, really all doors open and changing everything about us at all levels of being. So that's it. I mean, we're going to someday call it something else, I guess. We'll just call it yoga. We have to delineate, I guess, from regular yoga. All right, so we're going to start off on our backs with our knees bent, feet flat. And again, if you have any blocks or any other props you'd like to use, please get them now. I will not be playing music. First of all, there's some copyright issues as you're going through Zoom. And it also comes through kind of weird. You are more than welcome to play music on your end. I just would encourage you to not use words in that music. It'll be competing with my words. And I'm a talker. Probably figured that out. Got in trouble all the time for that in school. And now it has served me well in my life. So there you go, Mrs. Cox, third grade. Get me in trouble. No, she's sweet. I just talk too much. All right, here we go. So excited for this. All right, I'm just going to get myself quickly set up. So again, we're going to start off on our backs with our knees bent, feet flat. Again, this is a posture that I find is really conducive to allowing our nervous system to kind of settle. So one of the things about, and make sure I'm in the video here, I think I am great. One of the things about trauma-informed yoga, one of the big themes, if you will, is grounding. And here we are, we're literally on the ground. That's a thing. So let's also help that sense of feeling safe in the body. When you feel grounded, more grounded, lower to the ground, you tend to feel safer. That's why animals go to ground to heal. Let's take our hands, maybe just wiggle our fingers into the air, roll the wrists around a little bit, just get some awareness going there. And then let's bring our hands wide to the sides of our body. Just feeling that sense of awareness there to the sides of our belly. And again, without forcing it, just allowing the breath to come naturally deeper into the body as you are ready. And maybe just noticing the general rise and fall of your belly. Maybe starting to bring awareness to the back body and finding the shoulders heavy. Maybe kind of adjusting. Can we get our shoulder blades tucked under a little bit more sense of connection to the earth there? And then to the pelvis, on either side of the pelvis around the sacrum. Can we allow the pelvic floor to feel heavy? And then now from this place of awareness from the back body, we can start to expand maybe the breath in the front body. So as we inhale, think about breathing from this deepest part of your spine and your belly laterally and expanding to the side seams of your shirt. On the exhale, can you just let the exhale be deeper and longer and notice what happens in the belly without effort? It's the beauty of it.
So a few more times, just finding any kind of breath that feels natural to you, feels connected, more connected from where we just started just a minute ago. Every breath, a deeper sense of connection. And then maybe we can start to move our bodies really in a small way. We're going to start small, work our way bigger. So you can keep your hands to your body if you want, or you can reach them alongside the floor. It's up to you. Let's start with our feet. We're just going to lift our toes up, maybe open our toes a little bit. Maybe thinking about pushing one foot into the mat and then the other, right? And even adding to that by bringing our hands to our thighs. We'll just take maybe our right hand, press it to our right thigh, press into our right foot, feel that connection there, relaxing that effort and just moving over to the other side. So alternating side to side. And can we start to feel as we move one leg and then the other, there's a connection up into the pelvic floor and especially around our sacrum. So that area right above the tailbone, right? The sacrum. Now there's a lot of myofascial connective tissue around there. And it tends to get pretty stuck, pretty rigid, more stress, it can. And so can we just start to feel just a subtle sense of maneuvering side to side there, almost like a steering wheel turning side to side, kind of tilling the pelvic floor, tilling the soil of the pelvic floor. All right, now from here, let's go ahead and take our right knee into our chest and just hug it in comfortably, allowing the back body to relax once again, grounding there. Maybe point flex that right foot, rolling the ankle around. And let's just take slow, heavy hip circles into that right hip joint. And noticing, how does the body move when you move your hip? Does it move along with it? And it's fine. It's fine if it does. If like your pelvic floor and your belly and your chest all want to move along with it, that's totally fine. Just noticing our own patterns here. Do we feel more connected when we move our hip, or do we feel disconnected from it? And then we're just going to switch sides. So right foot grounds, let's hug our left knee in. And again, let's feel the left side of the body a little bit more grounded, especially maybe the left side waist. Same thing, point flex this left foot, squeeze open the toes, maybe roll the ankle around. We have a lot of proprioception in our ankles and our feet, tells us where we are in space. And then nice, slow, heavy hip circles here as well. And that sense of reconnecting, right, especially into the lower half of our body, hips, pelvic floor, legs, feet, is also another big theme of trauma, right? Because heat rises. We tend to live up in our shoulders, our head, our neck, right? That's where all the stuff goes. Reconnect down lower in the body. And then now both feet flat, and we're going to start to alternate. So let's hug our right knee into our chest. Option, extend this left leg long. You can always keep it bent. You can always keep it bent. Again, feeling that sense of lengthening if our leg is straight through that left leg. Option here is curling up calmly from the core, drawing nose forehead towards the knee. You don't have to. Inhaling, both legs long, arms overhead. Take that big morning stretch. Should feel really good. Exhaling, left knee hugging in, relaxing through the neck, through the shoulders, even though the arm's working. Option, curling up. And now we're going to link that to the breath. So when you're ready, inhaling, reaching long, opposite ends, right? Reaching up through the arm bones, down through the heels. When we're ready, exhaling, hugging right knee in, maybe adding that curl up if you want. And just continuing to alternate side to side at your pace, right? Really let the breath come first. One of the things we see when we're stressed is the body takes over, right? Unconscious autopilot movement, legs and arms. That's not always a bad thing, but really yoga is about, especially when we're moving like this in a vinyasa flow, it's about putting the breath first. It's really putting the horse back in front of the cart for me. When we put the breath before the movement, even just a little bit, we turn on more of that parasympathetic nervous system, and that's a stronger system of awareness. And it usually means we also move a little bit slower as well. That heightens also limbic brain activity. That's where our emotions are processed. You can see how this all starts to fit together beautifully like a jigsaw puzzle. All right, now let's go ahead and bring our feet flat again. Arms alongside the body, palms open or close. Again, your choice. It really doesn't matter on this. We want to make sure our head, though, is up straight. I may be looking side a little bit, but I really want you looking up straight for this, for the bridge pose. And it's going to be a real subtle bridge flow. So let's start by pressing the mat away with the feet and just flattening the curve of our lumbar spine out. That should feel just really good. And then rocking back over and maybe rocking the pelvis over, kind of pushing the belly up to the ceiling a little bit. So it's really just pelvic rocking. Rocking back, maybe peel the tailbone a little bit higher into the air, right? The sacrum comes off the mat. And then again, rocking back, maybe pushing the belly a little bit. Every time we're going to rock back up, let's pull it a little bit higher, right? So we can maybe just lift the whole pelvis off the mat. You get what we're doing now. So just keep flowing. Every time we lift the hips, can you lift just a vertebrae or two higher? Incrementally working our way up the spine, really focusing on this movement coming back from the spine. We're reclaiming the ability to move from more of our core awareness and more from a fluid, dynamic spinal feeling. Animals do that. They don't move with a rigid spine. It's actually would be very weird when we think about that. And we are animals. And so here we're trying to reclaim some of that fluidity through the spine. It's been lost through stress or maybe just sitting all day long. Could be lots of things. And then finally, when you get as high as you can comfortably, let's just pause there. Again, it doesn't have to be very high. You can adjust the feet so this feels good. Maybe walk the shoulders underneath a little bit more, making sure the neck is curved away from the mat. Let's imagine now through the inner thighs that there's this waterfall of energy flowing down to the earth. Let's think about the hip bones hugging together. And if we can, just slightly unclench the glutes. We're going to take one big breath here. Think about breathing the front of the thighs away. We may feel a lift naturally of the chest towards the chin. Here's the best part. When you're ready, we're going to start at the top of the spine and we're going to slowly roll down the spine. Just think like rolling down a piece of tape onto the mat. When you get to the bottom, just letting the hips be heavy, reset ourselves energetically with the earth. And then let's just flow that. So inhaling, fluidly lifting the hips, the belly, the chest up into some kind of bridge. Pause the breath at the top if we'd like, and exhaling slowly, rolling the spine down, going for length in the low back and the sacrum at the very end. Just a few more times. Again, now the focus becomes in our vinyasa flow style here, putting the breath first. Can you wait for the breath to happen and then let the movement happen? It does feel very different, but it feels rhythmic. So stress and trauma, PTSD, all those things has a dysrhythmic feeling. That's not a word. Okay, desynchronous, not a rhythmic feeling, right? It's by nature, we feel disconnected, even disassociated. So that's why vinyasa flow, slow vinyasa flow is actually one of the best healing types of yoga that I recommend to people who've been through trauma, reclaiming rhythm. We've lost the rhythm of our lives. Well, the rhythm of our nervous system gets destroyed, right? And then pausing. You could have stopped a long time ago. I was just getting on a real talking. I told you I'm a talker. Let's go ahead and bring the feet now wide to the mat, arms out to the side. Let's let the knees fall to the right. Now, option here, we feel really comfortable with this. Just gently press this inner left thigh down. Let's take our left hand. Let's use some awareness in our hands, really good tools of awareness. Take that left palm and we're just going to gently massage around this left hip bone into the inner part of the pelvis. Feel the difference. There is different information in there. It's more tender, right? Versus the outer, less aware. So we just have different kind of biological material going on into the pelvic floor there. That's the point. Left arm maybe overhead. Let's take a big morning stretch. Press that inner left thigh down. Breathing awareness from the inner left thigh through this left shore of the body. Again, there's a different kind of awareness there, deep to the bone. And then we're going to release. Let's pause, reset. And then let's come over to the other side. So both knees to the left. Again, taking the right hand if we want, palm to the right hip bone. And let's just explore this right hip. Again, the outer, across the top. And then now there's the inner side, which again has more awareness. Kind of think of it as like our tender underbelly in there. That's the iliacus. And it connects to the psoas. And that plays a big part in pulling this in tightly in stress and trauma. Bringing that right arm overhead, big breath, pressing that inner right thigh down. Again, exploring the right side of the body with the breath. There's a line of awareness there from the inner right thigh all the way up through the right side waist, even into our right jaw a little bit. And then again, releasing, let's reset our hips, reset our spine. And now let's float. So we're going to float both knees to the right, but head to the left. Left shoulder relaxed, looking the opposite way of the knees. Slowly rocking over the sacrum heavy. Let the head loll to the right. Feel the twisting from the belly. So this is an uncoupling move, and you're going to continue just flowing here. Can you keep the shoulders really heavy and relaxed? Forearms heavy, hands as if they're sort of weighted sandbags. Let's go with that in our hands. You can even change, bring our awareness to the back of our head here. Just feel it kind of being massaged as we rock side to side. You can shift your awareness down to your feet and just feel the earth as you rock over the feet. So we're going to continue to just kind of, move our awareness like a spotlight around the body, bringing it back to life. We become amnesic in our body after stress and trauma. That should just feel really good, right? Let's go ahead and hug behind our thighs. Now we're going to curl our hips into the air. Let's just massage the back body here. Now, if you go on either side of the spine, right in the middle there of the back, between the rib cage and the hips, that is where the psoas wraps around the spine and the back. So it might be tender. Maybe stop on one side, pause, gentle pressure. Is there some information there? And again, our body speaks in a different language. We want to learn to listen to it. And then maybe rocking over to the other side. And then we're just going to keep on rocking over onto all fours. Coming to fours. Everybody doing all right? Good, 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 good. So happy to be here together. What's nice about Zoom is we can be all over the world and still really feel this sense of connection. It's true. We can do that. So again, I know we love being in person, but this isn't a bad second best. Let's go ahead and take our hands wide and just place one and then the other into our mat. I kind of think like a cat kind of kneading its way into a mattress right before it's going to take a nap. If you have wrist issues, you can always do fist for wrist. So keeping that in mind. And check in with the head. Let's just turn the head side to side. We're not holding any tension here. Maybe think about stretching the mat apart with the hands, even though they're not going to move, keeping the elbows slightly bent. And also kind of with the knees, and then draw the low belly in and up. So we're going to get a nice strong core here, nice stable spine. So we're going to start from there. That's our neutral position here in tabletop. Now let's go ahead and tuck our toes. I want to come into our cow pose just a little differently, rocking back here, keeping the hands grounded. Let's bend the elbows. Let's loop them into the body, but from the upper back. Can you feel the upper back making that happen? Then try to pull the mat back with the hands, neck long. Now from here, we're turning our tailbone up. We're going to keep it up. We're going to come up into our cow pose, allowing the sides of the neck to be relaxed. We're almost squeezing our back waist, still active through the hands. Now we're going to go ahead and come to the opposite, maybe top of the feet, back to the mat, press down through the shin bones. Let's start with the tailbone, tucking the tailbone under, then rounding through the spine, allowing the head to relax, neck to hang heavy, pressing the hands again into the mat evenly. Maybe turn the head side to side, making sure not holding any tension in the tops of the shoulders. And now let's go back to the other flow, or I should say go back into cow using our breath. Now it's a flow, vinyasa. When we're ready, maybe looping the elbows in, tucking the toes, softening the base of the throat forward. And then exhaling slowly into our cat, maybe looping the elbows out to the side, pushing the mat away, scooping the belly. And now again, we're going to flow between the two, putting the breath first. If you know Ujjayi breath, our warrior's breath, that ocean sounding breath, you can add that in here. You could also kind of play with pausing the breath. So at the end of the inhale, maybe pausing the breath for a moment. When you're ready, exhaling. Remember, breath comes first, then the movement. At the end of that exhale, again, pausing the breath. Of course, that's 4-part breath or box breathing. Really effective to help shift our nervous system, again, back into that parasympathetic dominant state. And then let's just find our child's pose. Give our wrists a little bit of a break here. If your knees or ankles bother you in child's pose, you're going to keep your hips high, right? You're going to come up just like this, forehead to the hands. Or if you want to, of course, hips towards the heel. If you have a block, one of my most favorite things to do is we're going to take the block to our forehead. And by the way, you can also bring it flat to the mat instead if you don't have a block. And just slowly massage the forehead, rocking from temple to temple really slowly. I don't know about you, but I find so much tension here. Every time I'm like, what's going on? Well, the reason we find so much tension here is there's a unique nervous system. We call it our ventral vagal line in polyvagal theory, which is also really dominant in trauma-informed yoga. This is where we look for signs of safety to other humans. Well, actually, any mammals, right? Cats and dogs too. And so just noticing what's going on here as you rock from temple to temple. You can always come back here, right? This is Balasana, child's pose. This is our safe posture anytime you want to in the practice. Please know that. That's a wonderful choice to make. When we're ready, we're going to come forward into, let's just start with a kneeling lunge, right foot forward. As we come into some kind of lunge, I love to use blocks here. I have short arms, gives me a little bit more space. If not, you can come onto your fingertips. Let's take a moment. Let's actively lift the toes of the right foot, regrounding, thinking big toe, pinky toe, heel. We're scissoring the legs, but we're relaxing that left hip forward. Instead of pushing it forward, more relaxing it forward. There's some reasons for that, but let's just go with that for now. We can take our right hand. We're going to root down, take the right palm, rooting down through the right thigh. We're going to take our left hand back. We're going to find an imaginary sort of fisherman's net back there. And we're going to just cast that fisherman's net up. Pinky side of the hand rotating, and we're going to find that same line that we did with the knees side to side through that inner left thigh out through the left side of the spine. Can you feel it grow longer with the breath? Grounding through the top of that back foot, staying active through the low belly, maybe coming over into a little lateral flexion, only if it feels good. One more nice big breath here, creating space through that left side waist. Exhale, slowly releasing. We're just going to rock the hips back. You may need to toe heel that right foot out a little bit more. Peeling the foot off the mat, keeping that right knee bent a little or a lot. Inhaling, breathing the heart towards the right foot. Exhaling, just gently coming in. Watch being so aggressive with the hamstrings. They will usually fight you back. It's best to come in gently, invitationally, and really using the breath as the invitation. That'll get you farther faster. And then from here, listen carefully. We're going to go ahead and take our hands down. This is kind of a big, awkward move. We're going to take this right leg straight back behind us. So however you can do that with that right hip. And we're going to tuck the toes of that right leg onto the mat, right leg straight. All right. And just reset here, this strong posture again, stretching the mat apart with the hands, stabilizing through that left leg. Maybe stretching out the back of that right leg with the toes tucked to the mat, reaching through that right heel. Outer right hip rotates down and maybe floating that right leg into the air. So we have nice level hips here, toes pointed straight down. Now let's think about really reaching out of that right hip, stretching the mat apart from that right hand to the left knee. If you feel stable there, maybe floating that fingertips forward of the left hand or up in space. Palm turned in, and we're going to stretch that left side of the body long through the fingertips and the right side of the spine long back down through the foot. Keeping the neck relaxed. Maybe saying the words calm, strength. And then releasing. Let's just rinse this out. A little cat-cow flow. You can also kind of add in a little flexion here as we round the spine. Maybe kind of go to one side. Like pushing the side of the spine like a spaghetti noodle to one side. Head remains heavy as we roll to the other side. The other side opening up. You can go between the two. Kind of fun adding in, again, that dynamic spinal fluid movement. And then releasing one more time. Let's come into an extended child's pose, walking the hands out. Toes can be tucked or not. We're going to keep our arm bones lifted here for just a second. And let's do a little different thing here. We're going to loop the elbows in, palms stay flat. We're going to lift our chest up and come into this weird kind of low cow pose, right? Like it's a crouched cow pose. And then we're going to press the mat away with the hands. We're going to round the spine, and then we're going to scoop the belly in for our cat pose. Imagine the animal kind of tucking its tail into the body. And then one more time, inhale into our weird kind of cow pose, wrap the arms into the body, feel the shoulder blades draw back, active hands. And then one last time, a little cat pose here, keeping the neck relaxed. Inhaling, let's come into our kneeling plank. Let's just rinse this out through a vinyasa if you want. You can also go back to cat-cow. Exhaling, chaturanga, thighs, belly, chest. Walking the hip bones back, anchoring through the feet. Inhale, pulling the mat back with the hands, keeping the neck relaxed, going for length, then lift. Exhaling back down to the mat, scooping the belly, tucking the toes. Inhale, right back up. And then into our first down dog before we come to the other side. Option extended child's pose. Down dog is optional. You can also keep your forearms down if you like. Maybe pedaling this out here a little bit. I like to pause kind of side to side, just really kind of stretch the opposite hand. I think of stretching the carpet on the diagonal, right? Just making this feel really good through the myofascial systems of the body. And then let's go ahead and bring our right knee down, left foot forward. So we're coming to the lunge on the other side. We're all doing good, right? All right, left foot grounded. Remember, you go at your pace. Go at your pace. Child's pose is always great. Maybe lifting the toes of the left foot. And again, regrounding, heavy footprint energy. Remember, grounding, such a big theme here. Reaching through the top of that back foot, relaxing through the right hip. Feel free to stay here, or we're going to ground through this left hand. We'll take the right hand back. We're going to reach back, imaginary fisherman's net, again, casting it up. Can you keep the thumb relaxed? Let the lift come from the active leg energy through the right side of the body. Then we get more space using the breath. Head could turn, can swivel, right? Shoulders down the back, all the things. One more nice big breath here, just making it feel really yummy through this right side of the body. And then again, exhaling, releasing, hands to the mat or the block. Remember, we're going to toe heel that left foot out, sending the hips back, keeping the knee bent as much as we need to. Inhaling, lifting through the chest, and then exhale, pouring the torso forward, going cautiously, slowly, attentively. Maybe imagining there's 1,000 little noses on the back of your left hamstring and you're breathing into them. And then again, remember, it's kind of an awkward transition. That left leg's coming right back behind us. We're going to tuck the toes onto the mat with the left leg straight, reestablish ourselves with the earth here, finding that strength here, thinking about pressing through the outer arms down, from the wrist up, right? Feel that stability through the arms, then floating that left leg. If that left hip's hiked up, we're just going to rotate it down. Maybe take the fingertips of this right hand, find your low belly. Let's just draw them in as we reach back to that back leg. Option now, float the right hand like you're shaking someone's hand. And then inhale, again, finding that dynamic feeling of opposite movement from the left waist down through the leg, from the right waist up through the fingertips. And then releasing back to our tabletop for one last time. A little nonlinear movement choice. Cat-cow is always great. Taking a wider stance maybe. So walking the knees back just a little bit. Let's go ahead and we're going to do that same thing we did. So I'm going to talk us through it. We're going to swing this left side waist out. Think of like a spaghetti noodle. Let your spine be like that. So we're just squeezing. We can look over the right. Then from there, we're going to push the hips back to the left hip and then down and around, swinging them down and around. And we're going to the spaghetti noodle on the right side. Now we're going to come forward into our plank a little bit here and then back through, creating a big circle. Now, when you roll back, if you want to add in a little cat, remember we did that before, great. Lateral reflection to the side, maybe a little cow through our plank. So we're putting all the wonderful spinal movements together. Only thing we don't really have here is rotation. We'll get to that. If you want to flow the opposite direction, feel free. If you want to rest in child's pose, that's a wonderful choice. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and tuck our toes, but we're going to do something different. Wide legs. So bring the feet wide onto the mat. You can always do this with the forearms down into an extended child's kind of pose, like puppy dog. So that's your choice. Or lifting the hips into the air. Now, this is a wide leg down dog. The hands are still shoulder distance, or frog dog, as I like to call it weirdly, because you'll see why in a minute. We're going to go ahead and bend the left knee. Let's press that left hand to the left corner of the mat, right leg straight. Now we get that bigger feeling of stretch in the carpet on the diagonal here. And then slowly, other side, bending the right knee. You can even let this left arm be relaxed somewhat, right? It's more about finding that diagonal feeling of connection through the body. And then now back to center. Now you'll get the frog dog coming up high onto the toes if we can. Then bending the knees low as if our feet are back in starting blocks. We're going to wrap the arms into the body and then send the hips back. Draw the low belly in and up as if someone's pulling your hips strongly back. Anchoring through the legs strongly. Pinky toes really heavy here. And then slow motion. straightening the legs, shifting forward, rounding the spine. I always kind of think a wave crashing onto the shore. When we get there, the knees are to the mat, tops of the feet here, holding ourselves up with support. We're just going to rock one hip to the mat and then the other. Imagine your belly button, kind of like a spotlight. And we're just going to kind of follow it wherever it goes. Now, big toes together, knees wide, back into our extended child's pose. Pausing here for just a second. If you need to, stack the hands, forehead to the hands. Maybe take the time to allow the tailbone to drop heavy, focusing on that heavier feeling through the legs. A tree frog, like breathing through the sides of the belly. How fast can we shift into a place of ease from effort? That's a really healthy nervous system. We're all going to have to do effortful things in our lives. Going to work, raising children, being in relationships, watching the news. Anybody can get worked up. I would say that's no big feat. Any reptile can get into our sympathetic nervous system. That's all they got. But we have a unique one called a parasympathetic. How fast can you move to a place of calmness? It's actually stronger, and we can take more effective action. That's what we teach ourselves to do in yoga. Ultimately, I think. Let's bring our arms out wide one more time. Toes tucked wide onto the mat if you like. So our wide leg dog. And we're going to go right away up into coming up and stretching those toes out a little bit. Sending the heels back, find your pinky toes. Now send the tailbone, the hips back, way back behind us. Keep the core engaged here. Wrap the armpits. Legs are super strong, super strong. And then again, slow motion, straighten legs, rounding the spine forward. One more time. Knees, shins, top of the feet to the mat. Letting the belly button, the hips turn side to side. And can you let your gaze track softly to where the belly wants to go? A lot of times our vision, our gaze gets compromised after stress and trauma. We kind of get locked eyes on target. This sweeping action through the eyes is really powerful, again, to help to reset what's called the reticular activating system to threat. That was too much information for a simple yoga class, yeah? I can't help it. Get excited about it. All right, one more time. Let's find our child's pose. Taking a moment to anchor here and noticing child's pose is where we want to really hone our skills of imagery, of, again, turning faster to the breath. And so maybe bringing to mind here, what makes you feel safe? Is there a place, maybe in nature, where you feel safer? Or in a certain room in your house, or other people's houses, or with a loved one? Doesn't matter. Bringing that to mind does wonders for our nervous system. That's called bhavana in yoga, emotional imagery. It is advanced practice to me, and this is what we can add in if you want to add in an extra enhancement in child's pose. It's not just a pit stop to the next asana. It's actually where the most medicine really does get delivered, and we can just add even more with those kind of practices. All right, option now, regular downward dog. If you're up for it, and not just extended child's pose, tucking our toes hip distance apart. Option here, if you want to, we're going to flow that right leg lightly into the air. You can do this from your knees as well. Take the time to reach out of that right heel, and then slow, we're going to draw that knee into the chest, scooping it in, and we'll take that right foot between the hands. Now, option, bring that knee back down, just like we did for our kneeling lunge. Let's pause here. Again, blocks, nice. I have them. I'm going to use them. Let's think about lifting the hips just a little bit here. We're going to slide that inner left thigh back and long. Yes, really strong energy through both feet. Now, right hand to the right thigh. We did this before. That's why we can drop the back knee down if we want. Left hand reaches back, and we're going to just toss that fisherman's net into the air. Pausing here. You could also ground that back foot like a wide stance warrior one. Again, going for length through this left side of the body, maybe a little bit of lateral flexion. Focus on relaxing through the neck. You don't have to look up. It might feel better to look down. And then from here, left hand is going to come to the block or to the floor. Let's take our right hand. We're going to reach out long. Then we're going to bend the elbow. We're going to take a twist. Simple twist, right elbow back, opening that right rib cage up. and releasing. Okay, listen carefully. If our knee is down, we're going to lift it back up. We're just going to let this back foot flatten at an angle closer. So we're coming into pyramid pose here. Now, again, blocks are great, up to you. We want to think about our feet as having kind of steering wheels below them. And we're going to turn the car of us to the right. So rotate the legs to the right, right hip crease back. Keep a slight bend to the knees, reaching long through the chest forward. Now, if you don't have blocks or the floor is too far away, bring your hands to your thigh. I'm not so big on touching the floor in this pose anyway. This is a strength pyramid. So we want to feel that same sort of steering wheel action here, feeling really stable through the sacrum. Again, calm strength, probably grounding more through that back leg. One more nice deep breath. Then if we want to relax the torso down, right, then we can if we want to. Head hangs heavy. Opportunity here, a little bit of an inversion. We take a big breath into the rib cage. On the exhale, what happens? Now we're going to shift our weight to our right foot. Walk the hands of the blocks forward, lightly using the core. Let's step our left foot to our right, an easy forward fold. Inhaling halfway up. Let's fan our toes really broadly. Try to pull the floor up with our feet, reaching strong to the chest. Exhale, opposite. Let's bend the knees, hips heavy, belly to the thighs, hanging kind of heavy here. Making sure the hands are touching something, shaking the head out a little bit. And then now inhale, we're going to drop the hips, arms out to the side, coming up into our extended mountain. We've been upside down, so maybe go a little bit slower. I know you can't see my full body, but you guys got my arms are into the air here. Pressing down to rise up, anchoring through our tailbone. Calm strength. Exhale, chair pose. Hands come into heart center. We want to think about stretching them out apart with our feet, scooping in and up through the pelvic floor. One more time, big breath. Inhale, extended mountain pose. Feels so good. Exhale, hip hinge, swan dive, forward fold. Back to our forward fold. And now, again, hands to floor to block. If you want, maybe rock into the balls of the feet, heels of the feet. Feel the difference. Maybe sway a little bit side to side. We're just going to simply step one foot back and then the other into either down dog or extended child's pose. Pausing here. Option, we're going to take a little flow or cat-cow. When you're ready, inhaling into our plank. I'm going to bring my knees down. You have a choice. Exhaling, chaturanga, calmly all the way to the ground. When we're ready, inhaling some kind of heart opener. Exhaling, gather that energy into the midline, scooping the belly, lifting up, back into downward facing dog or extended child's. Left leg floats into the air. Again, outer hip rotating down, shifting more energy back through that left leg as if someone's pulling it straight back behind us. Exhaling, let's scoop the belly, draw the knee into the chest, and left foot forward. Back into our crescent lunge on the other side. Maybe lift the hips a little bit. Again, scissor the legs. Scissoring the legs, making this feel strong through both legs, especially that back one. Our body weight's forward. You got to put more to that back right leg. Left hand to the left thigh, right hand reaches back. And again, we're going to cast that right arm up. Breathe in a line of energy from the inner right thigh up through the fingertips, feeling supported through the low back. Shoulder blades down the back. Maybe coming over a little bit of lateral flexion. And then again, right hand is going to come down either to the floor or to the block. We'll take that left arm forward, taking our twist here, left elbow back, just breathing that left rib cage open, staying strong through that heel, reaching tall through the spine. Left hand coming back to the floor, to the block. This is where we're going to the pyramid pose. So we're going to take that back foot, flatten at an angle, reestablishing our hips here. So now we're turning the car to the left with the legs, inner right thigh spiraling back. Maybe imagine there's a string to that left big toe is pulling that left hip crease back. Again, finding this strong pyramid to start. Obviously breathing to wherever we're feeling it here in this left hamstring. Then coming into that relaxed forward fold posture. We're still staying strong through the legs. Maybe kind of shake the head side to side, no tension. Using the breath to create more space, more awareness. Shifting our weight into that left foot, feeling it heavy. Right foot to the left, back to that forward fold. Inhaling halfway up. Exhaling, same. We're going to drop the hips, find that easy posture through the upper body, right? You can even kind of like to bounce a little bit here. Relaxed ease. And then now reversing our swan dive, coming up into extended mountain, nice and slow. Exhale back into our chair of any kind. One more time, big breath, inhaling, extended mountain. Exhaling, hands to heart center, pausing for just a moment. We're going to go ahead and turn our legs open to the corners of the mat. Coming into our wide leg stance, we'll turn our toes to the corners. Doesn't matter which way you face. You're going to have to be on your mat. Knees in alignment. Make sure when you bend your knees, you can still see your big toes. Let's find 5-pointed star. Just reaching in all directions like a star energetically. Exhale, bending the knees, dropping the hips, arms coming down. Let's link this with the breath now, right? Make it nice and vinyasa-y. Inhaling away from the earth. Exhaling, limbs heavy, breath deep. And just a few more times at your pace. Really remember, slow, mindful movement is really awesome. If we could see into the brain, what parts would be lit up a little bit more, it would be the middle part of our brain, the limbic part of our brain. That's where our stress response system lives, right? Our HPA, hypothalamic pituitary, and then adrenals are down here, but that's the engine of the stress response. That's where it's going to start up. So slow, methodical movement is not something we do when we're stressed. I wish. Ideally it is. And so this is what we're practicing. We want to practice being calm in our nervous system. Awesome. Now let's just pause with both knees bent. Let's take our right arm to our inner right thigh. I'm not sure if I'm mirroring you or not, so just listen to me. Okay, right arm to the inner right thigh, left arm maybe into the air. And we want to stretch in 2 directions here. Hips heavy, evenly, weight into the heels, toes light. Stretch that left hand up, right hand down. As if you're holding the ceiling up with your left hand, pushing the floor down with your right, squeezing that right side waist. It kind of mirrors a little bit of a triangle feel here through that left side of the body. And slowly releasing. Ooh, feels good. Let's take some shoulder shrugs here for a second before we go to the other side. And right away, as we bend our knees, let's take our right arm up, left hand down. 2 directions of energy here. Weight into the heels, heavy feeling through the hips. Head able to move in any direction that we want it to. And again, slowly releasing, pausing, coming through center. Let's turn our heels in line with our toes. So either toes in, heels out, or whichever feels best for you. Making sure we're not too wide here, comfortable stance, knees a little buoyant. Let's take our hands to our hip bones. We're going to hinge forward. If you have a block and want to use it, great. Into a wide leg forward fold. When we get there, hands need to be touching something. If you can't get to the ground, right, blocks are great. Thighs are great. Even a chair is great. We just want to be touching something. Then let's just rock here if it feels good to the balls of the feet, to the heels of the feet. Maybe kind of shake the head out, shake the arms out a little bit here. And again, it's an inversion. Great one at that. So let's breathe deeply, finding the diaphragm. As we inhale, the lower lobes of the lungs expand, but it's the exhale where the magic happens, and the spine might extend even further towards the earth, space in between the vertebrae. A few times just like that. Inhaling halfway up. One more time. Think about stretching them out apart with the feet. Nice big breath. And exhaling, forward fold. Now we're going to go ahead and just bring one knee to the mat and then the other from here. Easy cheesy. We're going into our camel pose. Kind of making it easy today. Let's take, if you have a block, you want to bring it to one side. If you have 2 blocks, you can bring both of them. We're going to take our left hand to our left hip, shoulders, hips over knees. If your knees are tender, put a blanket or something underneath your knees to pad it. That's kind of the hard thing there. Left hand to the left hip. We're going to take this right arm, kind of diagonally slice the air over to the left. Draw that left shoulder blade down. Again, stay active through the low back. And then you can turn down if you want to bring hand from the hip to the block, or of course you could find the heel. We just don't want to collapse through that low back. So it's a heart opener, a little bit of diagonal rotation here through the spine. And then we're just going to release. The hips are going to drop back. That right arm is going to come down. If you need to move the block, now's the time to do so. Left arm is going to slice the air. And again, finding that diagonal movement through the spine, staying lifted through the low belly as well. And releasing. For a moment, we're just come to a seated posture. I don't want to stay there long. I want to get us onto our backs for some of the yummy parts, but we need to let our spine relax. So either sitting on the block or crisscross applesauce. Let's let our left palm come into our lap and our right palm over it, thumb tips to touch, allowing our head to melt towards our heart, even a little bit of a slumping feeling through the body. This is our concentration mudra. And we feel that internal awareness turn on when we drop our heads. And slowly allowing our head to extend back up. I'm just going to swing our legs around, come right where we started, back onto our backs. And grab one leg if you want, use the other arm to kind of support the fall here, a controlled descent. And we're going to go ahead and bring our feet flat again like we started. This time though, let's go ahead and take our right leg and we're going to take the ankle across the thigh, the left thigh. Make sure ankle bone is across the thigh. Let's take our right hand to the inner right thigh, just gently press it away. Option, I love this, just rocking across the sacrum. Now the sacrum, that's where we have a lot of like sort of kinetic potential for energy, and where a strong fight or flight response will happen, right? Really, really strongly there through the legs. So any kind of rocking is calming to our nervous system, especially to the connective tissue around our sacrum here. You can just feel how good it feels. Now you can stay here for sure. If you want to come into our supine figure 4, you can lift that left leg up, lace the hands around the thigh or the shin, whatever feels comfortable for your body. You can also use a strap or a towel. Make sure your right foot is nice and active here. And again, you could even rock this side to side on the hips. Doesn't have to be static necessarily. You could also think about drawing that right knee towards the left shoulder. Now we're breathing deeply into that outer right hip. Exhaling. Can you feel that right hip just melt back into your pelvic floor? And then we're just going to release. We're going to take that left foot down, arms out to the side. So listen, we're going to lift our hips up, slide them over to the right. Couple of options for the twist. Let's take our left hand to the right ankle or shin, wherever we can find. We could just drop that right foot either to a block if we need more leverage here. I usually use one, or if you can, to the floor. Right arm outstretched, looking to the right. Now, this is a pretty big twist, so if that's not comfortable, just extend your left leg long, come on your outer left hip, and bring that right knee across loose. Same thing, looking to the right. Tucking that right shoulder blade back to the spine and anchoring through that right arm. Same thing, we want to breathe into the spaciousness of the right side of the body. Right hip, the right side waist. Unwinding, nice and slow, coming right back to where we started, a neutral spine, feet flat. Just pause for just a second here. And then we're going to go ahead and take the left ankle across the right thigh. Same thing, left hand into the inner left thigh, gently encouraging that left hip crease to open. Notice it fights you pretty quickly. It really tightens up very quickly when you try to force it. It doesn't work. It's like, oh, like a clamshell trying to open. It's like, nope. So what you got to do, you got to breathe, right? You got to find that sense of softening into that inner left hip crease. So it forces us to treat ourselves differently, to honor that the body is going to do things to protect us. It's not a bad thing. In order for it to release, it does need to feel safe. And a deeper exhale sends a signal to the body, it's safer now. It's really quite simple. All right, when we're ready, let's go ahead and let that right leg up. If we want to take our figure four around the thighs or the shin, you can let this right leg dangle. Left foot needs to be active though, protecting that knee joint. And again, if you want to rock a little bit, go for it. You want to pull the shin towards the chest, go for it. You want to just sit here and just experience the gloriousness of breathing into that left hip. Biggest joint in the body, surrounded by the biggest muscles. So there's a lot of stuff to explore. And then same thing, we're gonna bring our right foot down. We're gonna scoot our hips to the left, take our right hand, maybe finding the shin or the ankle, tilted twist here. Left arm out to the side, left foot flat. But remember, option, extend that right leg long, come on the outer hip, left knee across. We really do wanna feel anchored through that left shoulder. So if it's lifting up, maybe don't twist as far. Head and eyes turned opposite. Then the breath moves the body. The breath integrates this left hip back into the body. We move very robotically, mechanically when we're stressed. We do. That's efficient. We don't want to have to think about it. No time to be mindful when you're stressed. You want to resort to the most efficient practices, or I should say, so what I'm trying to go for here, defensive postures or protective postures, but also efficient. Anything that doesn't take energy, because we're trying to conserve energy when we're stressed. Weirdly, it's a weird way to conserve energy. So we go on autopilot. We go into the memory bank, what worked before. And that's how we feel disassociated and disconnected from the body. And then again, releasing. Let's come right back to center. Option here is to hug around both thighs one more time, or around the shins, and just let the hips be heavy back towards the mat if you can. You could also do happy baby here if that's comfortable for you. Just pausing. Let's take a big breath wherever we're at, into the low back, breathing the hips away from us. Exhaling. Maybe think about imprinting your low back in towards the mat. And coming back full circle to where we started, really focusing on regrounding our energetic body and noticing, is there a different awareness present now? Is there a different story happening? And then releasing our feet to the mat. Any final movement you would like to take here right now? If you want to do a little twisting with the legs, you want to rock side to side, it doesn't matter to me. Totally up to you. Option for a Shavasana that we're going into, you could do butterfly pose, right? Soles of the feet together. You could support that with some blocks, hands to the belly. You can come knock knee with the feet flat, especially if you got some back issues. That's a nice one. You could lay on your side. You can, of course, do traditional Shavasana, legs flopped open, arms open, up to you. I'm going to come to seated just to kind of talk you through little guided relaxation. I've been thinking, as you're settling in here, I've been thinking this week about the precious freedoms that we have as Americans. And I want to say a big gratitude to all the veterans who provide those freedoms for us at the expense of their own life, many cases. So we owe a lot, at the season of gratitude in November. Perfect that we also are grateful for our veterans or Veterans Day. That for the freedoms we afford as Americans, we are afforded as Americans. I think we can see how scary and awful the world could be if we lived in a place without those freedoms on a daily basis. We are so fortunate. We are so blessed. And again, we have our veterans to thank for that. So thank you to each and every one of you. I voted yesterday here in the state of Virginia. I don't take that for granted. So I just want to say every day you wake up here in America is an opportunity to do something right for our world. You have been afforded that great gift. Again, with great power, great gift becomes great responsibility. And I know you're out there doing that, each of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being that bright light in the world. The world needs those bright lights to hold on to. There's a hope it can be different. We do that for people. That's what we do, you and I. So thank you, thank you. When we're settled in, let's just swallow, relax our throat, soften through the jawline. Maybe allow the tongue to dissolve a little bit, softening there too. Bringing awareness to our jaw, where the jaw hinges, and softening from the jawline down to the cleft of our chin. And then all around the mouth and the inner structures of the mouth. The lower row of teeth, the upper row, the palate of the mouth expansive. Melting all around the cheekbones, down the bridge of the nose. Allowing the eye sockets to melt and the eyes to melt back into your head. Deepening the space between our temples. Deepening the space in the inner ear canals. Unwrinkling even the back of our head. The base of our neck softens. And our shoulders, our chest, our arms grow heavy. Whole body heavy, at ease. Noticing the body breathing effortlessly. Maybe silently repeating an affirmation or a mantra that you like, or using mine today, which is calm strength. On the inhale, the word calm. On the exhale, the word strength in our mind. Let's just start to gently bring awareness back into our bodies. Energizing our bodies with our own unique presence, using the breath. So taking a big active inhale, filling the body up, exhaling. And then maybe moving fingers and toes around a little bit. You can also roll wrists or ankles around a little bit if it feels good. Hugging knees to chest if we want, and rocking again, or taking a big old morning stretch, whatever feels great. Eventually rolling onto a side body. Left or right is fine. Head heavy into our hand or the crook of our arm. Just pausing there for a moment, grounding the side body energy. And then when you're ready, slowly coming up to an easy seated posture. Of course, you're in your own home. If you would like to stay in Shavasana, you are welcome to do it. Other than that, I'll invite us to bring our hands to the heart space, turning our heads to our hearts. Again, can we just pause and bring to mind our military servicemen and women across the services, their families, those who love and care for them and worry for them. And again, because of what they do, we get to do what we do. I want to say thank you for any veterans out there. Really, truly, every day, Veterans Day. Namaste. Come back to the screen here. Go ahead and pause.
Thank you. You were fabulous. I'm so grateful to you for doing this for veterans.